2, 1, and booster ignition, liftoff of Space Shuttle Discovery.
Forget the grainy Apollo footage and the $30 billion conspiracy theories of the past. In March 2026, NASA executed the most ruthless strategic pivot in modern spaceflight, the sudden cancellation of the massive Gateway orbital station. Director Jared Isaacman redirected a $30 billion arsenal directly into the lunar dirt. We are no longer building a floating laboratory, but a permanent empire in the freezing shadows of the Lunar South Pole. Why would humanity abandon the safety of orbit to colonize a seemingly dead world? To transport an entire civilization across the void, the old paradigms of rocketry had to be completely shattered. Enter the brutal, towering efficiency of the SpaceX Starship. This fully reusable Leviathan is not merely a transport vehicle. Oh, it is an interplanetary cargo freighter capable of dropping unprecedented payloads vertically onto the desolate, unpaved regolith. The sheer violence of its landing sequence, immense plumes of irradiated, abrasive dust kicked up by Raptor engines roaring in a silent vacuum, heralds the arrival of an entirely new vanguard. This initial invasion wave is completely devoid of human life. Instead, the gaping cargo bays lower the lunar terrain vehicles, the tireless, autonomous pioneers of Project Ignition. These machines are not built for breathtaking speed, crawling meticulously across the jagged, treacherous craters at a mere 2.2 miles per hour. They are built for absolute, uncompromising survival, carrying 3 tons of heavy architectural equipment on their reinforced metallic backs. These rovers are engineered to endure the suffocating, a deep freeze of the lunar environment, and the relentless bombardment of solar radiation for 10 unbroken years. The invisible puppeteers of this lunar invasion reside in orbit, a constellation of broadband communication satellites maintaining a vital, unbreakable tether to Earth. Through this low-latency network, human engineers control the terrestrial machines from the safety of our homeworld, orchestrating a ballet of heavy industry in a lethal vacuum. We cannot ship concrete or steel across the void to build our shields. Instead, the robotic vanguard employs a brutal form of lunar alchemy. Using high-intensity lasers, they weaponize the environment against itself, melting the abrasive, razor-sharp regolith into reinforced interlocking hexagonal landing pads and impenetrable armored shells. This process, known as sintering, what transforms the dust of a dead world into our primary line of defense. Beneath these massive 3D printed domes lie the inflatable, pressurized habitats, fragile sanctuaries of breathable air and warmth cocooned within the moon's own ancient crust. We are essentially burying ourselves alive to survive the lethal glare of the cosmos. Yet, to sustain this armored fortress, we must conquer a landscape governed by a terrifying astronomical anomaly. The geography of the Lunar South Pole defies the standard mechanics of time. Because the moon's axis tilts at a microscopic 1.54 degrees, the sun's rays strike the polar landscape almost horizontally, creating a realm of extreme, eternal contradiction. On the elevated crater rims exist the peaks of eternal light, where the sun has been blazing without interruption for billions of years. But plummeting just a few hundred feet down into the abyssal crater floors reveals the permanently shadowed regions. These are pitch-black voids where a photon of sunlight has never penetrated, harboring a suffocating deep freeze environment plunging to nearly 400 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. It is within this terrifying, freezing darkness that the $10 billion third phase of ignition begins. In-Situ Resource Utilization. Thermal drills pierce the primordial crust, shattering ice that has remained undisturbed since the dawn of the solar system. We are tearing apart the molecular structure of the moon, electrolyzing ancient frozen water into life-sustaining oxygen and highly volatile liquid hydrogen to fuel our rockets. We are transforming a barren wasteland into the most valuable industrial refinery in the cosmos. But how do you power a massive, energy-hungry industrial complex when half of your operations are buried in a pit of eternal night? The survival of this empire hinges on an absolute zero-tolerance policy for power failure. In the lethal extremes of the Lunar South Pole, losing electricity guarantees an immediate, freezing death. To conquer the shadows, NASA has engineered a decentralized energy grid that borders on science fiction. Sprawling fields of advanced solar arrays dominate the peaks of eternal light, aggressively harvesting the unfiltered radiation that hammers the lunar surface. But physical cables cannot survive the jagged descent into the crater depths. Instead, towering masts convert massive electrical yields into concentrated microwave beams, shooting invisible, high-capacity power straight across the vacuum to receivers nestled deep within the frozen valleys. Yet, relying entirely on the sun is a terrifying gamble when your most critical operations are buried in permanent night. For unbreakable baseload stability, NASA deploys the pinnacle of atomic engineering, fission surface power. Not compact micronuclear reactors are buried beneath suffocating layers of regolith to contain their radioactive emissions. These autonomous atomic hearts beat continuously in the pitch-black void, generating unyielding power alongside the glowing plutonium of radioisotope thermoelectric generators carried by the deepest rovers. All this staggering infrastructure serves a purpose far more ambitious than merely surviving on a dead rock. The brutal sacrifice of the Gateway orbital station was never an act of desperation. It was a masterstroke of interplanetary strategy. This nuclear-powered fortress carved into the lunar crust is the ultimate staging ground. By establishing a fully autonomous refinery on the surface, we have fundamentally altered the economics of space travel. We no longer need to drag thousands of tons of volatile fuel up the crushing gravity well of Earth. Spacecraft will dock at these lunar terminals, filling their massive tanks with super-chilled liquid oxygen and hydrogen ripped directly from ancient polar ice. The Moon, with its fractional gravity of just 1/6 that of Earth, becomes the perfect cosmic slingshot. Our heavy cruisers will top off their reserves, ignite their thrusters against the silent gray dust, and hurl humanity toward the rusted deserts of Mars. The ignition campaign proves that we are tearing down the heavens to build our homes among them. Looking out at that infinite, terrifying expanse of black, one has to wonder about the silent worlds waiting in the dark. As we weaponize the ice of the Moon to reach the desolate sands of Mars, what other ancient, untouched powers are hiding in the shadows of the cosmos, waiting to see if humanity will survive the journey at all?